Today we are inviting Heather Diaz Jane to our chat. She's going to be telling us all about her journey. She seems like an incredible woman. She was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer back in October. And today she has kicked cancer's butt. Together with her family, she's got a little boy named Sebastian, who is 10 years old, and Juliet, who's 7. I see that she just joined our chat. I'm actually meeting her for the first time along with you all, so I'm going to leave it up to her to do the introductions. Just bear with me while I invite her in.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Heather?
Good. It's so nice to meet you.
Great to meet you too. Heather was referred to us by our dear friend Sophia Holtzman. She says that Heather's an incredible woman and mother and wife, and that she would be more than happy to share and educate us on what triple negative breast cancer is.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It really is an honor. And yes, I'd love to share a little bit of this journey. I guess I can just start from anywhere.
Let's start from the very beginning. It's so great to meet you, by the way. We do have more people in common, as it turns out, than just Sophia. I understand you're a part of the Gulliver community, and I am an alumni myself. So there's already like the 1 degree of Miami separation right there.
Yeah.
First and foremost, Heather, we all hear of the breast cancer diagnosis and stages. I've never heard of it as a triple negative breast cancer diagnosis. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, absolutely. So I had never heard of triple negative breast cancer either. And, you know, even along this entire journey, I just had turned 40 in August. I really don't have breast cancer in my family either. So it was something that came as a complete surprise once, I was diagnosed. It was also something that kind of popped up really rapidly. I went for my annual August 3rd. I saw my OBGYN. There was nothing there, and there really was nothing there. And I was scheduled for my first mammogram. And before I was, my mammogram, I think, was scheduled for mid-October or something like that, which seemed like it was pretty much on the ball, to get things done within a good amount of time. And I had what kind of felt like a little marble pop up at the bottom of my left breast. And it was a solid ball. It was painful. It was everything that you don't hear that cancer is. It seemed like maybe it was a cyst or something like that. And so, I actually, before my mammogram, went to go see my father-in-law's an OBGYN, and he referred me to a friend. And then we went through 3 weeks of kind of a long journey of trying to figure out what were the next steps of, not really worrying too much about it along the way. I eventually switched over to because I work at and I, really felt like I had this access to, this great level of healthcare. And once I, once I, saw, went to the and had a mammogram there, I actually one day had a mammogram, an ultrasound, and a biopsy. Within a matter of less than a week, it came back that I had cancer. And when they had told me I had breast cancer, they said it's also triple negative breast cancer. I had not even heard of triple negative breast cancer and really didn't even know what that meant. At first, it's scary, obviously, to get a cancer diagnosis, but breast cancer, I know that there's so much research that's been done. People are monitored pretty well for it. And I knew, I felt confident that, this should be okay. Maybe it'll be a little bit of chemo and, we'll go about our way. And then as the journey went along, I kind of realized, okay, well, triple negative breast cancer is a whole nother ballgame. Most, breast cancer is really common in women that are postmenopausal because, it usually is related to a hormone imbalance. So You could be positive for, you could have estrogen positive breast cancer, progesterone positive breast cancer, or there is a protein called HER2. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I could be totally wrong with some of these.
With the way you
So
speak of
describing it as best as, I know. So triple negative breast cancer is a cancer that is negative for all of those things. And so if you have a hormone or HER2 positive cancer, that cancer, you can do a very targeted treatment. And they target the hormone and they balance it, and it's a little bit easier, I think, or it's easier to treat. Or triple negative breast cancer is a very aggressive form of cancer, and it's a harder kind of cancer to treat, and it doesn't always respond to treatment. So this became a very wild and rapid journey, very, very, very fast. Yeah. So, so yes, so I got diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer on October 9th. And actually, the radiologist who did my biopsy was so amazing. I went in for this biopsy, and I happened to have this girls' weekend planned with my very best friends from high school, that we were celebrating our 40th birthdays together. We went to Marco Island, and she knew this, and she even texted me, like, I think it was the Saturday we'd gone to the spa. She texted me, the results aren't in, but I just want you to have a great time, have a wonderful time. And it was by the time I returned on the Monday, which was October 9th, she called me. I was actually having dinner with my son at the Rathskeller on campus before taking him to lacrosse practice. And that's when she told me that I had triple negative breast cancer. And then at that time she had said, I even walked over, because I've done everything at the Lennar Medical Center, which is located at UM. She said, I walked over to Frances Valdez, which is an oncologist, and I told her that you have to be seen right away. And she did, and she got me an appointment, and I was able to get in to see Dr. Valdez within 2 weeks. But still, at that time, I really hadn't digested, I think, the level of like severity that was there. So, so yes, but this, that's the beginning of the journey, and kind of how it started. So,
Hey, my friends, it's Christy from Heartfull Living. I wanted to share something special for my friend, the olive oil hunter, TJ Robinson. He runs the Fresh Pressed Olive Oil Club, where members receive small batch, rare olive oils flown in fresh from award-winning family farms around the world. Oils you simply can't buy in stores. To welcome you, he's offering a $39 bottle for just $1 shipping. To receive this offer today, please go to my website, heartfulliving.com, and sign up. It's a taste of what the club is all about, and the perfect way to bring intentional, heartful living right to your table.
what was your initial instinct as a mom and a wife? What were your first initial thoughts, fears? How did you even contemplate how you were going to tell the kids, if you were going to tell the kids at all? What did that look like?
um, you know, because I was with my son when I found out that I had cancer, um, it really, it forced me to pause and to digest, because I knew that I needed a lot of information and needed to find the best way to communicate this to the kids. I did all of, I couldn't talk about it out loud, which was kind of a blessing, I think, because, really, it's hard to sit with things that are challenging, but it allows you to process them and to really think about, okay, where do we go from here? What are the next steps, and how are we going to address this? So I actually think the first person I told in person was Ryan Holtzman, because our kids were playing lacrosse together, and I was dropping. I had to sit in the car with Sebi, talk about his day, talk about other things, and give myself a little bit of time and drop them off at lacrosse, and then go home, and then get to discuss it with my husband and my parents, and feel the emotions that are around that, realizing that you have cancer. In the beginning, there's so much that you don't know. Then you go through this waiting period where you don't know what the next steps are. I was thinking, I'm young, I'm so healthy. The next step is probably going to be a surgery, maybe some radiation, maybe some chemo. I had no idea what the next steps were. And so, as much as I love to be honest and talk to my kids about everything, I knew that I had to wait until I knew what the road lied ahead before we could tell them anything, which just honestly killed me because I hate just not having them involved and letting them know. But they're still so little. At the time they're 6 and 9.
Sure.
So yeah, so it wasn't until when we met the oncologist, my dad and my stepmom took me to go meet with Dr. Frances Valdez, who's amazing. But we're sitting in the room waiting to meet her, and like I said, in my mind, I'd already decided I'm healthy, I'm young. It's going to be an easy treatment. This is going to be a little, maybe it'll be a couple months or something. And her nurse practitioner walks in and she goes, "Well, your cancer is curable, but you have 5 months of chemotherapy." And that's when I felt like, oh my goodness, my life is just not over, but I felt like my life will never be the same. I couldn't believe these words that were coming out of her mouth, that I was going to do 5 months of chemotherapy. And then my oncologist came in and then described that, yes, I had a very aggressive form of breast cancer that was rapidly growing, that they could see was very rapidly growing, and that they were going to have to start aggressive chemotherapy in 2 weeks. And that I had 2 weeks I had this long hair, possibly cut my hair. She said, if you're going to do permanent eyebrows, you need to do them in the next 2 weeks. And I think a week later, my port was put in, and I started chemo on November 1st.
So in other words, you didn't even really have time to let this sink in and process, because thankfully it moved so quickly for you.
Oh, I'm so fortunate. My access to healthcare is absolutely amazing. I'm so lucky because it did move so fast and there was no hold on anything. But again, just like you said, there was no time to process anything. It was rapid fire. Let's go. Let's get ready for chemo.
You have your surgery.
So my plan, because of the type of cancer that I have, because it was so aggressive. So even though I found it right in the beginning, by the time I had the biopsy, I was already stage 2. And it was already over, I think, 2 centimeters, which is a threshold. So I was no longer eligible to have surgery first. I now have to go straight into aggressive chemo and hope that I respond to it, because that's the other thing. Because of the type of breast cancer that I have, there are some people who have triple negative breast cancer who don't respond to treatment. And so there was that chance that I might not respond to treatment, but that this was the plan and we had to go right into it right away. But the amazing thing is, once we saw the oncologist, they made us aware of all of the resources that we had access to through Sylvester Cancer Center, which included therapists. And that is when we decided that, and also through Gulliver. Gulliver is amazing. The first thing we did too is we reached out to Laura Sharp from Gulliver, and to, my husband is a teacher there as well. And we obviously, we got our village, everyone in our village kind of a part of the process, so that our kids could have as much support as possible. We're fortunate. My family is amazing, and they've been there for us through all of this. We also have an amazing group of friends that, have helped us. But also the network at Sylvester was fantastic, and we started working with a family therapist who specializes in oncology patients, and she helped us navigating the process of telling the kids. But now we're on.
At Heartfull Living, I believe in building a community, not just a brand. The partners we feature aren't just sponsors, they're part of our tribe. Kindred spirits who walk alongside us in this journey of intentional and joy-filled living. From soulful products to meaningful missions, each one is aligned in both heart and purpose. These partnerships are about more than collaboration. They're about connection. And if you're a brand, a creator, or a business who shares our values, we'd love to hear from you. Let's create something beautiful together. Visit us at heartfulliving.com to connect and become part of the Heartful Living story.
How have they done during the process? Once you finally sat them down and you had all the information, because you're saying that when you got your own cancer diagnosis, you were with your son at the Rathskeller and it gave you a moment to pause and think. Did you meet with the therapists before you met with the children to sit down and explain it to them? What kind of approach did you give it? Because you're talking about a very aggressive form of chemotherapy, which I'm sure hair loss came fairly quickly also. And I can only imagine for little ones that's very impressionable to see their mom lose their hair, for example. So can you kind of walk us through how you prepared your kids for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had to have my port put in so quickly that I don't believe we didn't get to meet with a therapist until after they put my port in. But we needed to communicate to the kids that my port was getting put in. Now, my husband does work with kids, and I think he does do a very good job of, speaking to them and in a way that they can understand. His dad's also a doctor, and so he he kind of did what his dad does and brought out a piece of paper. We drew out what they were going to do to put the port in, how the port was going to connect, and let them know that it was going to, I needed to have the port placed in so that I could have treatment to make me better. And we talked a little bit about me having cancer, but we didn't go into a great depth of it because we knew that we were going to meet with this therapist, and then she could help us to navigate the next steps of preparing them for, me going through chemotherapy, and then, eventually for losing my hair. Now, she did a great job with helping us talk to them about, the fact that I had cancer, and that, I was going to start treatment. It was going to make me feel bad. I might not be able to get out of bed. I might have to be able to do less, but, I'm still their mom. That doesn't change. The one thing that you can never be prepared for is to lose your hair. Because even though it's going to happen, it's something you really just can't. And, I went through my first chemo and I didn't lose my hair. I went to my second chemo and I still had my hair. And I have a ton of hair, this thick hair. And you hear stories, oh, well, so-and-so's brother's uncle's cousin didn't lose hair. See that? So in your mind, you think, I'm going to be that outlier. Maybe I'm going to be the one that doesn't lose my hair. And after my second chemo treatment, I lost my hair in a day, like in 2 days. It was like Saturday morning, I found out there was a little bald spot like here. I went to do a yoga class because I just couldn't give up on the fact that, I couldn't do the same things. And then I came home, I took a shower, and it all just came out, and I was left with just this little teeny tiny ponytail. It happened so quickly that I hadn't ordered wigs, I hadn't done anything like that, and so I had to just get through going to work the next day. So I had this little tiny ponytail that I left in the bottom, and I wore a hat to work. And then that night I came home, and my husband, we put them into two little ponytails. We let each kid cut one. We asked them if they wanted to stay and watch it. That my daughter didn't, and I said that's fine. So we brought her inside, put on blue, and my son held my hand while my husband shaved my head in my backyard. And and I told him, Sebby, you can go inside. It's okay. No, Mama, I don't want to be here. I'm strong enough. I can be here for you. So
That is so beautiful. A lot of people think that losing your hair is probably, the least of your concerns in that moment. But I think that there's a lot of weight in that moment as well. And the fact that you had your son holding your hand and your husband supporting you through that, that's just absolutely amazing. And that must have just lifted you up as well.
It did. It made me strong. I felt just so proud of him, and it definitely, it made me strong through that moment. And it is, it's losing of your hair. It's that then you look at yourself in the mirror and now you don't see yourself anymore. And you're sick. Now you look sick. And that's, I think, your mind is so powerful, and if you can tell yourself, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm gonna be the one that can be strong and not, I'm not gonna let this consume me. And then once you lose your hair, it's hard because you no longer see the person that you usually see when you look in the mirror, and you look visibly sick, and it's a hard adjustment. The therapist also did. She provided books for my daughter and all these different resources to kind of help them with the process of me losing my hair. The moms at Gulliver went together and they got me this amazing wig that looked exactly like my hair. And so, there were so many things that different people did to really support us, through the different aspects of it. But losing my hair was, it was a big moment in the process. It was before Thanksgiving. It's the little thing, we're approaching the holidays, and it's so silly to think, but, then I'm like, how do I get through Thanksgiving? How do I just show up, for something, which seems so silly, but it really, it made it hard. You start to worry about silly things, but they matter at the time, so yeah. So
You walked through your journey with so much determination and grace. I was in shock, and I'm looking at my notes because we're just meeting for the first time here right now, which is why I'm kind of at a loss for words because I'm hearing the story for the first time as well. You started what seems to be the most intense form of chemo that is dubbed the Red Devil.
yeah.
Yet during your chemo treatment, you received a degree from while you were withstanding the Red Devil. If there's nothing more badass than that, I mean, I don't know what can possibly top that. How did you manage to graduate while you were going through chemo? Was it a good change from the day to day? Was it something you were determined to do? Was it helpful to get your mind off of things? What's your degree in?
So, absolutely. So like I said, I work at I've been at for over 10 years this August. And at this, the same time, I've been working towards finishing a bachelor's degree. And this was going to be my last year. And I was determined to finish. I had just turned 40. I've already been doing this for so long. And so once I got diagnosed with cancer, I was not going to let that get in my way. There was no way. I just wasn't. It was not going to stop it. I was taking, during the Red Devil, I took fundamentals of taxation and I took, I took intro to Python, which is like a coding class. And, I, in true, like, my professor for the Python course was pretty, lax, and, he definitely helped out a little bit. But true to what accounting should be, my accounting professor did not really give much. But that's, I understood it. I actually respected it because that's, ultimately in what I'm studying. So yes, I finished fundamentals of taxation. I think I took one of my exams after chemo one day. And I didn't just pass, I got a B, which usually I would have liked a better grade, but still. Yeah, I was determined. I was not to let it get in my way. And I think, my oncologists say too, like the people who get dressed, the people who stay working, the people who, have the love and the support of their family and their friends, they're the ones who do the best. And so there were times that were hard. And I remember there was an assignment that, you could do over and over again until you got 100. And I got to a point where I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore,
What a
you know. And
example for children.
say that again.
What a beautiful example for your children.
Thanks. Yes. I mean, they're the main kind of driver behind everything that I do just in general is, to be the best that I can possibly be for them. So yes, they definitely provided a lot of motivation as well. But I was determined. I was not going to let cancer take this away from me at all. And so yeah, the fall was the hardest. I knew I had to get this. I was already halfway through the semester once I found out that I was sick. And so it was just a matter of finishing them. And it was something that I was going to do. I was not going to give up on. And I'm very happy that I did not, because it was something I've always wanted. And I'm, just so grateful to have been able to achieve it. So
We're so proud of you.
thank you.
Amazing. Absolutely outstanding. And I think I already know the answer to this, but what is your health status today?
So I had a full response to treatment, and I'm currently cancer free. So
Amazing.
yeah.
We hope you come back and join us in, a year, and, it's even more cancer-free good news, and that you maybe went for a master's.
I'm planning the masters hopefully this year to start. Yes.
I'm telling you, I don't know anybody that I can call a badass today but you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
How has this outlook changed your life and your look on motherhood today?
Harbin House.
So it's a strange thing to say, but there's the blessings that come out of it. And the main blessing for me is that this made me slow down. This made me slow down, and it has made me really focus my energy on how much I have to be grateful for. And so, you know, especially with the age that my kids are, your life is, and in Miami, you know how it is. It's so busy. Your birthday parties, sporting events, social things, it's nonstop. And I can never say no to anything. So, but you can get wrapped up on all of that and let the moments continuously pass you by without really absorbing them or enjoying them. And this really forced me to slow down and just enjoy my time with my family, my time with, my kids, and really enjoy, the amazing, beautiful people that that really were there for me throughout this year and in my life. And so I think, if anything, it has taught me that, how much I have and how important it is to feel gratitude. And so, my right now, what I try to do every morning when I wake up, before anything infiltrates my mind, is to at least think of 5 things that I'm grateful for, and to start my day by saying, thank you, Lord, for another day, and for this time with my family, and for my healthy children, and for all that I have. And so I think that's the greatest gift that's come out of this situation, is just being able to really be more aware of what I have, and really feel grateful for that.
You had mentioned that you had tested for a gene. Is that
Correct.
that now you said that there was no breast cancer history in your family, but is it something now that your children have to look out for in the future?
So it absolutely is. So I have BARD1, which is on the BRCA chain. It is not, it's, something that they have only known about, I think they said, for about 8 years. my sisters and my mom and my aunt and my cousins have all now been tested. My little sister Caitlin has it. My mother has it. My aunt has it. My cousin Emily has it. She actually had a preventative double mastectomy right after I had mine. And yes, there is a chance that I pass this gene down to my kids as well. And so we would potentially have to do genetic testing for them, when they're a little bit older. So
You're proof that your family history at today in today's age has nothing to do whether you're exposed or not, because at the end of the day, you had a clear history. You never expected this to happen, and yet here you are turning 40, and it's one of the most aggressive forms of breast cancer.
exactly.
That's just
Yeah.
so. When are you officially done with all your treatment? Where are you at now?
So I'm currently receiving immunotherapy, which is called Keytruda, and I get that treatment once every 6 weeks. My last treatment is on my 1 year chemo anniversary, which is November 1st. And then from there, that's it. Because my cancer was triple negative, not negative, wasn't positive for any hormone. I don't have to continuously take any, hormone blocker. Because I had a full response to treatment, I don't have to take a chemo pill. So I look forward to schedule to have my port removed because I hate my port. If they could do it the day after, I would do it the day after my last treatment on November 1st.
I really hope you join us that day and send us photos so we could all cheer you on and be there to support you spiritually and energy wise. If we can't be there in person, we will certainly be thinking of you that day. One last question. Were there any, I know that the Lennar Center and Gulliver were very helpful to you with your children in terms of giving you the resources needed to present this to them. Is there any online resources or Instagram groups that you relied on also that you researched to be better prepared to how you would speak to your children?
So no, I'll be honest with you, because this all happened so quickly, I really just had to lean on the support that we got from Sylvester and from Gulliver in means of for resources for the kids. There is, however, a local organization called 305 Pink Pack, which is absolutely amazing organization. I did not come across them until a little bit later in my journey, but they are fantastic. And what they will do is they have some resources that they can provide locally, like Uber rides, oncology, lymphatic drainage massages, and different things that they can provide you with for pre and post surgery that you just never would even know about. But in addition to that, they also have their team sign you up for all the other organizations like Unite for Her and BRCA. And so once, they had my information, they really signed me up for anything that I might be eligible for. For other people too, they also will help them with filling out like any financial aid applications and stuff like that. And they really are an amazing organization. I couldn't recommend them more. And they provided me with some great resources, and then the resources that they have out there for anybody who's going through this journey is just really amazing. So
Well, I'm sure that if anybody ever reaches out to us here at Mamas in Miami, we'd be more than happy to put them in contact with you, Heather, if that's all right.
yes.
That's what this platform is for, guys. This is all about unwavering support of one another. The parenthood journey is not easy, and we need to all be there for each other. It really does take a village, and it's very obvious that this village has taken very good care of you, Heather.
Yes, they have. So I'm so grateful.
Your bravery and determination are definitely a testament to your character. And I have no idea that the celebration in November is going to be massive, and everybody in Miami is going to hear about it. Heather, thank you so much for opening up your journey to us today and educating us. I'm like in awe of you, truly.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It really is an honor.
Once again, and keep us posted on your recovery, because we know that you're going to be dancing on the streets November 1st.
Yes, definitely. Will do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Heather, for joining us. We will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Great. Thank you. Bye.